It was a crisp Saturday morning when I caught Karen from the HOA trespassing on my property, her iPhone glued to her face, snapping photos of my old red barn like it was her personal Instagram backdrop. I'd been sipping coffee on my porch, minding my own business, when I saw her and her posse to other HOA busybodies, Linda and Pam, trailing her with clipboards posing in front of my barn like they were shooting a damn magazine cover. This rustic charm is perfect for the community newsletter. Karen squealed, oblivious to the fact that she was on my land, not her cookie-cutter cul-de-sac. I'm Jake, by the way, a guy who moved to this suburban hellscape in upstate New York to escape the city, not to deal with nosy neighbors and their petty power trips. My barn, a sagging relic from the previous owners, sits on 5 acres of my property land I bought to keep things quiet, grow some veggies, and maybe raise a few chickens. But to Karen and her HOA cronies, it was apparently a public photo op. I hollered from the porch, "Yo, Karen, that's my barn. You mind asking first?" She spun around, her bob haircut practically bristling, and shot me that fake smile she's famous for. "Oh, Jake, it's just for the neighborhood aesthetic. You should be flattered." Flattered? I was pissed. This wasn't the first time the HOA had pulled some entitled nonsense. Last month, they fined me for leaving my wheelbarrow out too long, claiming it lowered property values. Meanwhile, Karen's tacky flamingo lawn ornaments were somehow fine. I let it slide then, but this was war. I stewed all weekend, replaying Karen's smug grin in my head. The HOA had been riding my ass since I moved in, complaints about my unmowed grass, my unapproved mailbox, even my truck parked slightly off-center in my own driveway. It was like they had a personal vendetta against anyone who didn't conform to their Stepford wives' fantasy. But using my barn without permission? That was a line crossed. I knew I had to hit back, and it had to be good. Petty, sure, but good. Monday morning, I noticed Karen's car parked at the community center, where she was no doubt planning her next newsletter masterpiece. I overheard her through an open window, gushing about a vintage barn photo shoot for the HOA's spring fundraiser. "We'll use Jake's barn again," she said, like it was her God-given right. Linda chimed in, "He won't mind, right? It's for the community." Oh, I minded. I minded a whole lot. That's when the idea hit me. My manure wagon, a beat-up, green beast I used to haul compost for my garden, was sitting in the barn, full to the brim after a weekend of cleaning out the chicken coop. It had a manual release valve, a little rusty but functional. If Karen wanted my barn so bad, she could have it along with a special delivery. I spent the next few days planning. Karen's photo shoot was set for Saturday, according to the HOA's gaudy flyers stapled to every mailbox in the neighborhood. Spring Fling Fundraiser, Rustic Barn Edition, it read, with a blurry photo of my barn plastered across it. The audacity. I checked the weather, clear skies, a light breeze. Perfect. I rigged the manure wagon's valve with a remote trigger I cobbled together from an old garage door opener. It wasn't high-tech, but it'd do the trick. I positioned the wagon just inside the barn, hidden in the shadows, aimed right at where Karen and her crew would likely set up their little photo op. I even tossed in some extra chicken droppings for good measure. Saturday morning, I woke up early, my heart pounding like I was about to pull off a heist. I mowed the lawn to look like I was just doing chores, keeping an eye on the road. Around 10 a.m., Karen's SUV rolled up, followed by a van full of props, hay bales, mason jars, the whole Pinterest nightmare. Linda and Pam were there too, along with a hired photographer who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Jake," Karen called, waving like we were old pals. "We're just borrowing the barn for a bit, okay?" I nodded, biting back a grin. "Sure thing, Karen. Knock yourselves out." They set up in front of the barn, arranging fake sunflowers and a chalkboard sign that said Spring Fling. I waited until they were deep in their shoot, Karen posing with a straw hat, Linda fanning herself with a clipboard, Pam adjusting a tripod. The photographer was barking orders, and the whole scene was chaos. That's when I slipped into the barn, crouched behind a stack of hay, and hit the remote. The valve creaked open, and a glorious, stinking wave of manure sluiced out, splattering across the grass and hitting their setup like a brown tsunami. Karen's scream could have shattered glass. "What the hell?" she shrieked, jumping back as the photographer's tripod toppled into the muck. Linda slipped and fell on her ass, her clipboard flying. Pam just stood there, mouth open, clutching her coffee mug like it was her lifeline. I stepped out, feigning shock. Oh damn, Karen. Must have been a malfunction. That wagon's old as hell. The photographer was gagging, packing up his gear in record time. Karen's face was redder than her cardigan, and she pointed a manicured finger at me. You did this on purpose, Jake? I'm reporting you to the board. I shrugged, leaning against the barn. Report what? An accident? Good luck with that. The fallout was glorious. The photo shoot was ruined, their props were trashed, and the smell lingered for days. Karen tried to rally the HOA against me, but without proof, their complaints fell flat. The neighborhood gossip mill went wild. Half the residents thought it was hilarious. The other half were too scared of Karen to say anything. I heard Linda muttering about health code violations at the next HOA meeting, but nothing came of it. My barn was off limits after that, and Karen's newsletter ended up using a stock photo of some random farm. I even got a few covert high-fives from neighbors who'd been on the receiving end of Karen's wrath. The best part? I painted a sign on my barn the next week. Keep out or pay the price, in big, red letters. Karen drove by once, saw it, and peeled out like she'd seen a ghost. Revenge never smelled so sweet. So, next time your HOA tries to pull a fast one, take a page from my book. A little creativity goes a long way. The end.